Welcome back to the World Nomad Games podcast. In our previous episodes, we explored the cultural roots and the diplomatic strategy of the World Nomad Games. Today, we dive into the final, most critical layer of analysis: the money and the power. With hosting the games, the attention of foreign media on Kazakhstan grew, highlighting the non-direct impact of such large events. According to BBC, the fifth World Nomad Games kicked off this week in Kazakhstan's capital of Astana. Dubbed the Great Gathering of the Steppe, the Olympics of the nomadic world are a spectacular celebration of traditional sports, identity, and culture from across the inner Asia. Bloomberg reports that Kazakhstan's sovereign credit score was raised one notch at Moody's ratings, which highlighted the government efforts to improve the business climate and diversify the economy away from oil and gas. The country's long-term foreign currency rating was lifted to Baa1 with a stable outlook, Moody's said. The decision reflects the balanced risk, as reforms may make the country more attractive for investment, while there is potential for deterioration in regional geopolitics and secondary sanctions. The rating change comes as nation is considering the sale of benchmark dollar bonds for the first time since 2015, Bloomberg reported last month. Kazakh President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev aims to reduce the state's role in the economy and raise some taxes. The government plans to attract investment, cut bureaucracy, and update legislation, according to Moody's. Non-oil sectors such as ICT, transport, and manufacturing have driven growth, boosting resilience to oil price fluctuations. Kazakhstan holds a BBB- rating from S&P and BBB from Fitch. Julie Kozak, IMF Communications Director, announced that Deputy Managing Director International Monetary Fund Bo Lee will visit Kazakhstan. News.az reports. Deputy Managing Director Bo Lee will be visiting Astana, Kazakhstan on Monday, September 16th to meet with the authorities, engage with various stakeholders, including students, to discuss economic prospects for the region. She reported at a briefing. According to the IMF forecast, Kazakhstan's real GDP growth is expected to be 3.5% in 2024. For 2025, GDP growth is projected to stand at 4.6%. Kazakhstan has been a member of the IMF since 1992. Over the years, the country has established several mutually beneficial agreements with the fund. The IMF mission visits Kazakhstan annually for consultations. The Times of Central Asia reports that the Sovico Group, a leading investment conglomerate in Vietnam, is to modernize and further develop the infrastructure of Kazakhstan's Turkestan and Kızılorda airports. As reported by a Kazakh Invest, the deal was confirmed in a memorandum of cooperation signed in Astana between Sovico Group Chairman Dr. Nguyen Tan Hong and Deputy Governors of Turkestan and Kızılorda regions. The chairman of Sovico announced plans to increase the frequency of flights from Vietnam to Kazakhstan, as well as the group's potential development of Kazakhstan's trade and logistics potential. The Sovico Group has also announced plans to acquire Kazakh Air for the sum of approximately $4.2 million by the end of September 2024, a move described by President Tokayev in July as a demonstration of the Vietnamese conglomerate's ambitious plans to develop civil aviation in Kazakhstan and the region. In today's episode, I would love to share the perspectives of Catherine Nixon, which she demonstrated in Central Asian Policy Studies think tank. The World Nomad Games were the brainchild of Ashat Akibayev, the head of the World Ethno Games Confederation, a body behind many large-scale ethno-sport and cultural heritage initiatives. Akibayev was plain about his hopes for the Games. For Kyrgyzstan, this is a unique chance to show itself in all its richness and strengthen the position on the world stage, he told the Kyrgyz newspaper Вечерний Bishkek in 2014. But this undertaking was as much about politics and diplomacy as it was about sports and culture. Akibayev imagined the games as a kind of cultural brand, a vehicle to market Central Asia's nomadic heritage to the world. Almazbek Atambayev, then president of Kyrgyzstan, saw something larger. For him, the World Nomad Games were a geopolitical opportunity, a way for one of the region's poorer states to shape the cultural narrative of Central Asia itself. He first pitched the idea in 2011 at a regional meeting of Central Asian leaders. The following year, Kyrgyzstan formally launched the project at the Summit of Turkic States. Atambayev declared that Kyrgyzstan was a sacred nomadic land and that the games would draw tourists not only to Kyrgyzstan but across the Turkic world, thereby extending a local national initiative into a broader cultural sphere. Central Asian states, particularly Kyrgyzstan, have limited hard power but crave relevance. These World Nomad Games were intended to let them project leadership without provoking Russia or China. Hosting athletes, delegations, and media from across the Turkic world allowed Bishkek to perform regional coordination in a context no one could object to. Cultural diplomacy as a non-threatening substitute for political alignment. The competition offered an uplifting spectacle of unity and tradition, while the region faced the familiar scourges of inflation, corruption, and political fatigue. As a state-engineered spectacle, the competition has effectively allowed Central Asian governments to trademark nomadism, turning shared heritage into a recognizable cultural brand. World Nomad Games have fulfilled one of their founding ambitions to launch Brand Central Asia, a shared positive image of the region built not on politics or power, but in culture. Conceived as a unifying showcase of nomadic heritage, the Games offered Central Asian states a way to present themselves to the world through a language of pride and continuity rather than rivalry or crisis. And it's sobering that many ordinary Central Asians appear indifferent or unaware of these games. Economic and social concerns typically dominate the public agenda and the policy decision of Central Asia's government. Cultural heritage is unquestionably important, but nevertheless a secondary concern. The spark is there for the World Nomad Games to grow into something larger, an event that speaks not only to heritage but to the modern life of the region. The Games could aid in Central Asian integration, creating a coherent regional identity of 5 very distinct countries. Interacting beyond the dry world of politics and the economy may enable countries to build trust and familiarity and long-term cooperation between states. This kind of shared identity cannot be created by business alone. Now, I think it's time, and let's turn to the economics of the games according to the Forbes. Together with the guests, the ministry also calculated their spending in the country. According to the ministry, the e-Konakh system recorded that approximately 12,400 foreign tourists registered in Astana alone during the week. Their total spending on accommodation, transportation, food, and entertainment amounted to $15.5 million or 7.5 billion tenge. The average spending per tourist from outside the region was $1,500. Also, according to general estimates, participants of the World Nomad Games contributed an additional $625,000 or slightly more than 300 million tenge to the country's economy. It should be noted that 5.7 billion tenge were allocated from the state budget for the preparation of the games, which is almost 20 times more than the amount collected in revenue. Initially, the budget for preparing for the games was larger, but it was reduced for cost-saving purposes in the wake of the spring floods. The total number of searches in Amadeus platform for air tickets to Kazakhstan, including domestic flights, over the past 12 months October 2023 and September 2024 increased by 13.4% compared to the same period last year, October 2022, September 2023. A sharp jump in demand was recorded in July 2024, 2 months before the opening of the Astana Games. At that time, the value of search transactions increased by 24.5% compared to June 2024. The data obtained indicates the growing popularity of Kazakhstan among travelers, and particularly strong interest from non-neighboring countries. And according to Intel News, the Games handed Kazakhstan a chance to assert itself on the ever-shifting global stage, using ancient sports as a means to achieve strategic political ends and underline the country's growing international importance. Given the country's vastness, entailing proximity to powerful neighbors China and Russia, strategic positioning on the Caspian Sea, and a geographical extent that also places it right on the Europe's doorstep, Kazakhstan is on the cusp of becoming a substantial power, even globally speaking. As with the summer's Paris 2024 Olympics and the Euros football in Germany, the Nomad Games served as a prism through which foreign tourists and athletes alike could perceive a nation and its approach to foreign policy. In Kazakhstan's case, inclusive, outward-looking, and balanced. The world's ninth largest country by land area offers a streak of neutrality against the backdrop of a polarized international order. The nomadic lifestyle is about constant movement, observed Tokayev at the Astana Arena opening ceremony of the Games, as he welcomed Central Asian leaders and athletes from countries including big powers, Britain, America, China, and Russia. Every step is a step towards a new world. Kazakhstan, as well as other Turkic nations, are increasingly important players in said new world, and soft power measures like the Nomad Games firmly remind foreign leaders of this, as well as helping build Kazakh independence and develop Kazakh national identity. Today, the Organization of Turkic States is defending the voice of Turkic world on the global stage and is shaping modern-day values, Bilal Erdogan said in his speech. It seems the days when Kazakhstan was regarded as a remote and far-off stan are behind us. We are ready to step up to the Kazakhstan plate, is the message Kazakhstan sent to the world last week. Perhaps this is why the Kazakh capital, Astana, a futuristic metropolis barely 2 decades old, was chosen to play host to this celebration of ancient civilizations, to send a political message of progress and urban development on a par with places like Singapore and Dubai. The city undoubtedly also enjoyed the commercial benefits that come with hosting a large-scale sporting event. The Games succeeded in promoting Astana not only as a Eurasian business and political hub, but also as a tourist destination, said Nail Nurov, head of the Directorate for the World Nomad Games, in a recent interview with Kazinform. With nearly 100 nations involved, from Canada to Mongolia, and according to the Kazakh Ministry of Tourism and Sport, over 100,000 foreign visitors, pulling off a large-scale event with such wide appeal in a lesser-known country will have earned Kazakhstan a powerful and advantageous reputation worldwide as a facilitator of diplomacy and as land bridge between East and West, both metaphorically and physically. The atmosphere at the Games was one of the absolute tolerance and political neutrality, surpassing geopolitical divisions at both an athlete and spectator level. Now, it is time to dive into the most controversial moments at the Games. So, during the World Nomad Games of 2024, there was a Kokbar conflict between Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan. Sources of each country describe the conflict differently, being biased to a certain extent. First, let's hear the story from Kazakhstani source of Inform Bureau. As player Ablayxan Nishanbekov recounted, during the match, the Kyrgyz athletes insulted Ulan Bayturev, a defender of the Kazakh national team. This hurt his pride, and a blow with a whip followed. Various situations happened during a game But what happens during the game stays within the game, I think. Nobody hit anyone with their fists. There was a blow with a whip. The athlete stated. He added that after the game, members of the Kyrgyz team showed no desire or willingness to engage in dialogue, leaving the awards ceremony. Ablayhan Shambekov, in turn, the executive director of the Kokpar Federation, Ayaz Zhilkabayev, clarified that during the match itself, the captains have the opportunity to express disagreement with the referee's decision. After the incident, the Kazakh defender received a penalty and was suspended from the game for 2 minutes. There is a panel of judges that makes the decision. According to all the decisions, it is a victory for Kazakhstan. I understand the players very well. This is a sport. In any sport, there is a winner and a loser, Ayaz Zulkabayev emphasized. A scandal erupted during the final Kokpar match at the World Nomad Games in Astana. As a result, the Kyrgyz team, which was leading 3-1 before the match was stopped, lost to Kazakhstan 4-5. At the award ceremony, which was conducted by the Minister of Tourism and Sport of Kazakhstan, Yerbol Murza Bosunov, the athletes from Kyrgyzstan removed their silver medals immediately after receiving them and left the stage. Later, the Kokburu Federation of Kyrgyzstan filed a protest against the result of the tournament final. Yeah, that is crazy. That's crazy. Let's and now I think it is time to look at the Kyrgyzstan source, right? To see the another side of this picture. Okay, so according to Cactus Media, so they say that on September 12th, a scandal erupted during the final match of Kokpar at the World Nomad Games in Astana. Footage of the final Kokpar match went viral on social media. The teams of Kyrgyzstan and Kazakhstan met in this match. The footage, which is being discussed by social media users and fans, shows gross refereeing and errors, and as well as unsportsmanlike conduct by the players of Kazakhstan national team, which directly affected the outcome of the match. With the score of 3-1 in favor of the Kyrgyzstan team, a player from Kazakhstan caught up with the scorer of the third goal and hit him several times with a whip. After that, a brawl broke out between the players of the two teams, and then the game was suspended. According to the journalist Beksultan Usinaliyev, after the scandal, there was another, less noticeable one. All the journalists who were filming and covering the match from the designated press area were kicked out and moved 30 meters further away. Of course, after that, it became more difficult to film the game, and this was probably done so that we wouldn't show what we filmed on social media, he said in a live broadcast on Instagram. According to the head of the Kyrgyzstan national team, Yerlan Abdulkaparov, his team refused to take the field. However, then the leadership of the Kazakhstan Federation asked them to bring the players out. But even after this incident, the Kazakhs continued to play unfairly, and he tried 5 times to protest the referee's actions and try to approach him until he himself was approached by employees of the National Security Committee of Kazakhstan, who demanded that he not be indignant and not sow discord between the two nations. Moreover, when there was a one-on-one situation, the referee would take our players out of the circle and allow the Kazakh players to pick up the karkas, after which we would blow the whistle, allowing our defenders to resume the game. This is how all 4 of their goals were scored, meaning the referee helped them in all cases. And the player who struck our player with a whip should have been disqualified from the game and altogether shown a red card, Abdulkaparov said in an interview with the Kokburu Kyrgyzstan public page. It should be noted that in the video footage of the match, users discovered several more serious violations. For example, one of our players who was running with the karkas was being choked by a Kazakh player with his horse's reins. In another moment, Manas Niazov, who was also trying to attack with the karkas, was held by the arm until one of his teammates came to his aid. Abdulkaparov also said that during the game, the Kazakh players grabbed the reins of our players' horses preventing them from moving, and the referee didn't see any of this. According to the rules of the game, players are not allowed to hold an opponent. It is forbidden to touch anything except the gold card, as he noted. As a result, the match ended in a 4.44 draw in a regular time, and in extra time, the Kazakhs managed to score one more goal and won by a minimal margin of 5-4. After this, according to Usin Aliyev, the Kyrgyz team did not intend to attend the award ceremony, but the organizers of the Nomad Games came again and asked them to present. And although the players came to the award ceremony, they were initially not allowed into the ceremony itself for a long time. They only managed to approach the podium after some time. During the award ceremony, the team, after receiving their medals, left the podium without waiting for the gold medals to be presented to the players from Kazakhstan. It should be noted that earlier, Ramiz Khudaybirgenov, an expert from the Kokboru Federation of Kyrgyzstan, reported that they had filed a protest against the match result. According to the rules, we must file a protest within 20 minutes after the end of the match, which we did. We were told that official approached our opponents. We won't name names, but they told them that the players should win by any means, even by beating our players with whips. We didn't think that Kazakh side could act so low, he said. Well, it is not yet known when the organizers will consider the federation's protest. As the head of the Directorate for National Sports, Bolot Asharaliyev, noted the deadlines for this consideration, as well as whether the protest is subject to consideration at all, will become known within a few hours. As Sarabek Sadikov, a methodologist of the Directorate for National Sports, noted, the main mistake was that the referees on the field were only from Kazakhstan. Since this is an international game, the referees on the field should not have been only from Kazakhstan, but also from Kyrgyzstan and Uzbekistan, he added. Nurghazi Burbiyev, a referee from Kyrgyzstan who was included in the panel of referees for the final match, noted that he was unable to get his colleagues to comply with the rules of the game, even when Kazakh players used whips against their opponents. Nurlan Maksutov, vice president of the Kokboru Federation, said that through negotiations between the two countries, it was decided that Ramiz Khudaybirgenov, an expert from the Kokboru Federation, would be next to the chief referee, as he is a certified specialist from Kyrgyzstan. But when it was time for the game, the special services simply kicked them out of the tent where the referees were, he told Channel 7. According to Ramiz Junusaliyev, the first vice president of the Kokboru Federation of Kyrgyzstan, even a blind person could have noticed the violations of the rules of the game in the final. We have been trying to reach consensus for 2 years to develop the game, but at this rate, I think we will not achieve any agreements, he concluded. It should be noted that there were no comments regarding the refereeing from an official representative of Kokbar Federation of Kazakhstan. However, the team later apologized for his player hitting an opponent with a whip and commented on the situation with the words, "It's just sports." That story stays the most controversial, I would say, during the whole Nomad Games in 2024. And yes, I'm more inclined to believe the Kyrgyzstan source, as it is really detailed, and you can see all the details and interviews from people, interviews from the captain, vice presidents of the Kokboru Federation, and all the others that were in the scene of the action, and journalists too. So yes, in this context, in this conflict, Kyrgyz team is right, and this refereeing, this mistakes should not be happening again in the next Nomad Games. So welcome back to our podcast, and today's guest is Anwar Asamidanov. And Anwar Aga, you can introduce yourself to the audience.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me here. I'm very excited to be here. And my name is Anwar. I am a PhD health economist. I'm doing my postdoc here at UC Irvine, studying um, medicate, and sorry, my lights are uh, shutting off when I'm not moving. So yeah, I'm doing my postdoc here at UC Irvine in health economics, studying particularly Medicaid and its cost and benefit analysis. Um, yeah, happy to be here. I'm from Kazakhstan, where this World Nomadic uh, Games are uh, held last time, and they are very active participants. So I'm happy to discuss about that.
Yeah, thank you for joining. And yeah, I would like to ask you some questions on the World Nomad Games, specifically about the economic stuff, right? And my first question would be, what is your opinion on the World Nomad Games economic model? Is it designed to be a profitable venture, or is it like a strategic loss leader where the primary return is not financial?
I was following these games, and I'm familiar with the context about the country and the games. I can give my opinion on this. What I believe is cost and benefit analysis for the World Nomad game is complex. First of all, the direct financial side, uh, and what I see rarely covers the total costs, which are tickets, sponsorships, media rights, and the short-term tourism. Usually, do not match the full expense of hosting. So, as a business model, it does not look profitable. But the purpose here is different. The events act as a strategic public investment. Where the returns are cultural diplomacy, branding, tourism exposure, and soft power. And these returns are indirect and long term. On the cost side, the numbers are we can estimate then, and which are clear and immediate. On the benefit side, the measurement takes time, and there are also non-numerical benefits. So the right way to judge the model is not the profit, but the long-term positioning and visibility. From that angle, the games can make sense if the spending is transparent and the infrastructure is planned for after use.
Thank you. That was a really detailed answer from you. Thank you for that. And I totally agree that World Nomad Games is not specifically designed to gain profit, right? It's more about the culture, revival, as also diplomacy, right? And
Yeah.
yeah, and my second question would be, what are the economic implications of relying heavily on on government funds versus private sponsorship for an event of this nature?
Yeah. So, as I told previously, this kind of games is uh, complex doing this kind of analysis, but where the fundings usually comes from the mix of public budget and the private sponsors. If the government carries most of the costs, taxpayers carry the financial risk. This increased pressure for the transparency and careful spending. It also weakens the financial discipline because the private investors are not involved. Then the private sponsorship change incentives. And what it leads to, I believe, sponsor bring money, marketing, and the expectation of the measurable results. This improves the quality of the event execution, and the healthiest model is a blend, um, and the government finance infrastructure and security. The private sector handles media and branding, and over time, growing the private share of the funding increases the sustainability and reduce the political and fiscal and the societal pressure. So I think this kind of mix is complex, but I think by proper analysis and also being consistent on the transparency, this model could be improved.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. And speaking about the cost, it is, yeah, so I live in Astana, right? So
Mhm.
I live on the Mangalgate Avenue, and when the games were held, I saw a lot of construction work. So much, the roads were blocked, the buses would take the longest route, and it affected the lives of local citizens a lot. Also, but there was also like good investment. The center Allow and Hippodrome, they were renovated. So for the games, they were renovated, and people like can use the renovated structures right now. And my question about the costs would be that from an economic development perspective, are those investments strategically sound, or are they prone to becoming like white elephants after the event concludes?
Yeah, I think that's a very good empirical question that needs analysis, and also the economic question here is whether the infrastructure has value after the game. So those kind of transparent networks that you told, and hotels and digital infrastructure usually supports long-term tourism and business. That makes them uh, strategic and economically yeah, makes sense, that make it economically sense more. So the sports venues are different. I think that if they have no regular use, they become white elephants, and they require maintenance, and also they don't produce any regular revenues. And those kind of many mega events worldwide have faced these problems. I believe this was in Atlanta here in the US, and also in the Utah for the Winter Games. They face this problem, and that's a key. The key idea here is here is opportunity cost. The money tied up in unused venues could have funded other priorities, and especially for the context of Kazakhstan, can avoid this if the infrastructure planning includes reuse plans, year-round events, and the tourism integration. If not, the risk of white elephants increases, and it might create, as I told, this political and fiscal pressure.
Mhm. Yes, thank you. Um, so and yeah, concluding the economics perspective on the World Nomad Games, I would ask this question. So, what would need to happen for the games to become a financially self-sustaining international event, independent of massive government subsidies, for example?
Yeah, that's yeah, very good question. And economic sustainability here means less reliance on government budget and more reliance on the commercial revenues. So I think it needs to bring more demand from the from the country, which is very small as
Mhm,
the market. So I believe there are four pillars matters here. The first is the media and the broadcasting. Without a global audience, there is no commercial value here, especially in the context of Kazakhstan, where the market is
mhm,
small compared with the other uh, huge markets like Russia or China or US or Europe. The second is sponsorship. Sponsors lower the burden of the public budget and expands marketing reach. The third is the tourism. Visitors drive real spending into local economy and also boost overall economy in the country. And the fourth is the reuse of the infrastructure and organizational capacity for the other events. To achieve this, the games needs a clear commercial strategy and professional governance. If these elements develop long-term sustainability, if this elements develops, this long-term sustainability is possible here, and if not, the event will remain dependent on the state funding, which I believe is not the goal of this game.
mhm. Yes, exactly. You mentioned to increase demand for the games, to increase the demand for the event. And according to a lot of sources, local citizens remain indifferent to the games. They are more worried about the other problems they have, right? And we see little bit, only a little of like interest towards the games. And I want to ask you, like, do you have a like a personal connection, or have you ever visited the games or watched it ever?
Yeah, unfortunately, I was not back home at that time. I just watched from the YouTube videos.
Mm-hmm.
But I heard from the people who attended those events, who
Mm-hmm.
were like organizers, that uh, the opening ceremony was great,
Mm-hmm.
and it was really inspiring, that this kind of event is held in Kazakhstan, and it was like a very huge event
Sure.
that captured a lot of audiences and the media. So yeah, uh, because I'm an economist, I speak with mostly with numbers, and here I don't have much number. I think if there will be more detailed and careful analysis, we can evaluate and also predict the future of how this event could be held in a more economically, and yeah, where we can assess the cost and benefits. So I
Yeah.
think in that way we can create a more detailed answer, and also predict the feasibility of this event.
Yes, exactly. Um, I also think that it is hard to measure the impact. It's hard to measure the cost and benefits because a lot of like there's big events in Kazakhstan, the budget is not transparent. So it's
Mm.
not like in the States or like in Europe. We cannot see it online. The people cannot see it. It's hidden, right? So, what do you think about this? Will it like be a big risk to any other activity, economic activity in the country?
Yeah, I think even if they are not transparent, there is always, there is always a possibility to estimate the welfare benefits, overall welfare benefits of this event. For example, how it's impacted the businesses
Mhm.
and the overall economy. If the budget increases, tax increases by the local small and medium enterprises. Um, yeah, that thing comes to my mind. And yeah, yeah, there are researches on the on Olympic Games. So there is a big literature on that. I
Mhm.
think by looking at those literature, yeah, we can figure out what could be other benefits on these games. Um, yeah, that's what I believe.
Mhm.
Yeah, there could be other source of um, data or other source of mechanism that could analyze the indirect benefits, and we call it downstream benefits of these events. Yeah.
Mhm. Thank you. Thank you for such a detailed and really good answers from an economic perspective. And one last personal question is, do you have your favorite memory when you played traditional sports? For example, for a lot of people, it's riding horses or wrestling or asagatu. So, if you have an anecdote, you can share with the audience your personal connection to the traditional games. Yes, you can.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's interesting. Yeah, I in my childhood I played a lot Tasuk.
Oh.
I was grown up in the small city, Shashkazgan. So yeah, at that time there was no video games, and the television channels were not interesting, as yeah, there was Netflix or other streaming channels. So yeah, playing outside were more entertaining for us. So we played Asap with our neighbor in the neighborhood, with our friends, and yeah, we used to kind of sell Asaps. Yeah, we firstly compete with each other, and after we kind of win a lot of Asaps, and we used to sell it and then win it again. That's how we earn money there. That was really fun memory. Yeah, that's a fun memory for me, and very competitive and entertaining at the same time. You communicate, and also at the same time it's very competitive. So and there are always different type of asks that is better than the other ones. So we increase the price for that and sell it with the more expensive as the most expensive ones. So that was fun for us. It's and yeah, I think my generation was the last generation that played ASOS. I believe so. But but that was really fun. Now, yeah, now is everyone is stuck on the video games and
Yes.
uh, and screen times. But at that time, that was our main entertainment.
Yes, I totally agree with you. Uh, Even in some neighborhoods, like in my childhood, some people played asakatu. It's mostly was like popular in like owls, like rural areas. But I used to live in Shujinsk. It's not like an owl, but yeah, it's a town, small town. Then I was moving around a lot to Almaty, Astana, Aktobe, in big cities. I never saw someone playing Asak. Even though I had like a good amount. I couldn't play with anyone. I just play with my siblings. That's it. And yes, Asakatu is really popular. I see like when I interview other people, right, which like around your age too, they say asakatu was like the best thing to play, and they used to paint the asak with khna. And
Yeah,
yeah, did you used to do that?
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, we painted. We used to put the what was the metal name? Copper or yeah, we make a hole there and put some metal so it would be more heavier.
Heavier.
So then you can play it and you cover it with the chain so that the metal will not fall away. So then it would be really good, heavy, so you
Mhm.
can win the games with that one.
Isn't
It,
it cheating?
no,
No?
it wasn't cheating.
Okay.
So yeah, I think there were rules. Some rules were that they don't allow those kind of ASICs for the play, but some were, and and there were also big ASICs, small
Yeah.
ASICs. Yeah.
Small mistake,
So
of course.
yeah.
And yes, thank you for sharing. Thank you for your unique perspective. I really appreciate you joining here on our podcast, and you can always see it when on YouTube when it will be posted or in the website of the Kick Center at Clare McKenna College. And again, thank you so much for joining. It was great to have you on our podcast.
Thank you for having me. And it was great conversation. Yeah, and let me know if you have more questions.
Okay. And that brings us to the conclusion of episode 4, Geopolitics and Economics, and indeed the entire World Nomad Games podcast series. Today, we've peeled back the final layer of the World Nomad Games, revealing the immense financial investments, the strategic economic calculations, and the high stakes geopolitical maneuvering that underpin this extraordinary event. We've seen how the game is not just a cultural celebration, but a powerful economic engine and a critical player in the new great game for influence in Central Asia. From the historical and literature insights of Kairat Zakaria and the on-the-ground experiences of Arman Abdjami and the public sentiment shared by Nurla, Bacha, and Alta, and finally the sharp geopolitical and economic analysis from Anwaraga and Yerbo, we've explored the World Nomad Games from every conceivable angle. What we've discovered is a phenomenon far richer and more complex than a simple sporting event. The World Nomad Games is a testament to the enduring power of culture, a strategic tool for nation building and diplomacy, and a significant economic undertaking. It is a vibrant bridge between a storied past and an ambitious future, demonstrating how ancient traditions can be revived to serve modern aspirations. This series has aimed to provide a comprehensive, nuanced understanding of the World Nomad Games, inviting you to look beyond the spectacle and appreciate the intricate layers of history, culture, society, diplomacy, and economics that make it so compelling. And this podcast series, in this episode, was created with the support of Keck Center for International and Strategic Studies at Claremont McKenna College. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the World Nomad Games. We hope this podcast has enriched your understanding of Central Asia, the nomadic spirit, and the fascinating ways in which culture, politics, and economics intertwine on the global stage. Thank you all.